As you can see, the AC controller has lost a lot of its backlighting, and I'm going to try and remove it, and we're going to see if we can do it without having to remove the center console. So I've arranged some illumination because it's night time here and 0 degrees Celsius. The tip that we need for the 2 screws on the console is a Torx T30. We're going to see if we can just unscrew that. I'll just remove these 2 screws. There we go. At the moment I've left the battery connected. I'm just going to try and pull the console forward. We can get the console forward, and on the HVAC controller, well, they were some 7mm AF bolts holding the AC controller on, but it was so well clipped in, I think I elected not to use those. So we're just going to unclip the controller, but first I'm going to disconnect the main battery. I've disconnected the battery, and you can just see down below the clip, which is on top here. I'm just going to prise those free. Right, I'm going to try and release the AC module. With a couple of fingers you can loosen the clips on the AC controller. Obviously if the screws were still in there, I would have undone those, and I think you can get in quite easily through this front panel here without having to take all the center console out. So I'm just going to try and work the connectors off the back. Eventually I managed to unplug the connectors. The main blue connector is really quite hard, but it will come out through the bay aperture, so that means I've now got the unit out and free, so we can now go back into the warm. The last time I had this AC controller apart, I didn't bother to look at where the lights were or the lamps were. I looked at the PCB, showed how it came apart, but I didn't look at the lamps. So this time I'm going to pay more attention to that. It looks like a 5mm AF socket is enough to undo the screws that are either side of the back cover, so I'm just going to take those out. The inside panel just lifts away, exposing the front panel with the controls on. It's upside down at the moment, so I'm going to see what's required in lifting this away. So the first thing you want to do is pull the knobs off, and they just come off, and then once you've done that, the whole front panel pulls apart. So now we can see where the LEDs go. Now it looks as if we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lights. Is that 11 lights? Yeah, 11 lights. The push button membrane just peels away. It may be adhered slightly over a period of time, but that just peels away, and it's the familiar, I presume, carbon contact arrangement that's inside. So now we can see more lights, LEDs or whatever inside, plus all of the bulbs that are on there. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 filament bulbs. They are all wired in parallel. I guess it's possible that some of them are open circuit and I'm just seeing some of the bulbs that are okay. That's a possibility. I've just replayed my video. This area here we have illumination, and we also have illumination here, aircon on off, backlight, but none of these are working and nothing is working along here. So I'm going to remove just one of these filament bulbs to see if that's the cause of the problem. So I've just removed one of these bulbs, and it definitely is open circuit. So that kind of ties in. It would be impossible for only just a couple of these to work and the others to still be okay. because they're in parallel, so this one is definitely not working. The problem is going to be working out the polarity of the connections for here. So I'm going to replace all of these. I can do 10 of them. I nearly bought 2 lots, but I thought I won't need more than 10. Didn't realise there were so many. So you need at least 11, and they come in packs of 10. But they were cheap anyway, about $8. As you can see, the ones I've bought come on a plastic base with the wires wrapped around that plastic former. So I'm going to try and work out the polarity of these to find which is positive and which is negative. Well, the filament bulbs, and this is one of them by my finger now here. I'll just show you that pin there connects to that connector pin there. That pin there connects to that pin there. So it's those two end pins are for the filament bulbs. There doesn't appear to be any circuitry on here that controls those filaments. I've confirmed that pin A7 is the internal lamp dimming control. The other side of this pin here on J3 next to the blue wire is this end of the LED, and I think that goes to B9. Definitely goes to B9. As you can see, B9 goes to the interior light system, which is ground as it happens. So B9 is ground, and the dimming control A7 is for the lights. So A7, the blue wire, is the positive. As you can see, I've marked on the filament lamp pad there, I'll put a plus symbol in there. That's the positive line. That line goes to the blue wire on here, which connects to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just for the record, I've connected a crocodile clip to A7 onto one of my multimeter's terminals. It's set to beep on ohms, so you can see that reads 0 or 0.2 ohms, and then we go to there, we read 0.2 ohms, which is onto the plus symbol. We go on to the negative symbol, we read the impedance of the other LED lamps. Now, I don't know if you can see that LED is actually on. It's on diode test on my multimeter. Now my multimeter can generate enough voltage on diode test to turn that lamp on. The reason why I'm showing you this, if we just turn it off for a second, you can see through the window of the LED there's a large, you can just about see it from this video. Where I'm pointing to now is a large area, and then there's a narrow area, and the narrow area is the positive lead of the LED. Now I don't know if you can see this, I've tried to arrange a camera pointing down at the right angle. I will take my soldering iron, you will need some solder. Here we have 2 pins on a bulb, so I can actually bridge those 2 joints together with my iron. So you need to hold the bulb at the same time. Get both pins very hot. Just waggle it, and then you'll see that it just pulls out like that. That's quite easy to do. Once you've done that, you then need to clean the holes out, and you do that with the solder sipper or suction. And once you've got the holes free, you can just put your solder sucker on the top. It says quite comfortably. There's one. There's 2. That's now desoldered that component off board. Now I've removed the plastic base from this LED, and as I said, the very thin pad that's on the end of the LED is the positive one. I'm going to line that through there. Don't know if you can see. It's going to go through there. Whether or not we want to leave the plastic base on, I don't know, to be honest. We could leave the base on because it stands it up. So I'm going to leave the bases on. May have to trim that to make it fit, but we'll check that in a moment. So I'm just going to solder this one on here. Now, a lot of people like to bend the wires over. If you bend the wires over, you'll find it's very difficult to remove if you have to rework it. So the best way to do it is to just solder one in place, then just gently push it through until it sits nice and square. That pin's now soldered. That pin's now soldered. Now we've got our LED mounted on there. We just trim the pins with a pair of side cutters. And that's almost the job done. I will clean that up with some rubbing alcohol or IPA just to clean the flux off, because that's just the way that I do things. So there we have the LEDs on there. I'm not sure if we can actually test that at the moment, but it is connected the right way around as far as I'm concerned, so that LED is on. I can confirm that the resistance of a bulb is actually 22 ohms. I will just connect one on. I've connected a bulb onto my meter and you can read it reads 22.5 ohms. If we connect a bulb to our variable power supply and put it on 12 volts, there you can see it takes 40 milliamps, and that's, for something that's got a blue shield to it, is pretty white, so that's what we normally have. I've cleaned out all the remaining lamps, cleaned the boards, sucked the holes out. I've put one near the edge just to see if it would fit, and I've put one as we did as an example. I've only got 10 LEDs, so I'm going to have to leave one in place, and I think this one still works, but I'm just going to double check that. And amongst the pile of bulbs that I have, there is going to be one that works anyway. Well, there definitely is. It's always best before you start soldering is just to make sure that you haven't left any shorts on the board. So what I do is I use a bit of isopropyl alcohol on a brush. Just give the top side a white, just so that it gets rid of all of the spatter, and do all of that. And then on the back side again, just clean off all of the holes, just make sure there's no bits of solder lying around. This isn't the proper solder flux cleaner, but it will do. And it's always worth having a bottle handy around. It evaporates pretty quick, doesn't leave a residue. And then if you have a loop, just have a little look at the pads to make sure they're okay and there's no shorts before you start, and then we'll do the same again when we're finished. If you see this one on the end here, which I've left just deliberately, you can see the flux around the pads. If you don't remove the flux, you won't know if you check it with a loop whether you've left any shorts there, because the shorts could be living inside the flux. Okay. So it's difficult to show you the magnifier, but that's nice and clean now. I'm going to try and show you what to do with the LED. What we need to do is unwrap these little pins. Okay, so you can see they literally wrapped that pin around the former. So if we just, you may want to use a knife or something, a little fine modelling knife, and just unwrap it back round. Then ease the leg up, and then just square it off with some fine pliers if you have them, If you're not, maybe some eyebrow tweezers might do it. We just keep going. And then we've got the legs up like that. If you straighten them out first, it makes putting these in a whole lot easier. So now we have 2 legs on there, and as I mentioned before, you can see which way round they are. You can connect 12 volts to these, by the way. You don't need 12 volts. Maybe a 3-volt battery or but you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but my multimeter, when it's on diode, generates enough voltage to test quite a high barrier drop diode. So that's why you can see it with my meter. I've tried it with another meter, a cheapo one, it doesn't work. So if you're not sure, just get a small battery. All you're doing is finding out which is positive and negative. But like I say, on my diodes, the very small area on the front of the diode, it's on the left. I don't know if you can actually see it on this resolution. I'll try and get a better picture later, but that's the positive, and that's the way that it mounts. So when we mount that on our board, the positives, as you can see on here, that's the positive, and the positive will be on this side, so it's going to go that way around. I have another one here which I've done already, and it can go on there, in that place there. I'm going to do the other diodes, just unstraighten them all, put them on, and I've had to leave one filament in place because I'm one short, and I know that one works. Right, you can see all the LEDs are working. If I take my multimeter off, diode test, put it on there, you can see that all the LEDs work. Now, in my opening video, I said that all of the diodes, all of the lamps were connected the same way around. That's not true. The one that I measured is one of the ones that's different. So when I put them all in, I managed to get them all the wrong way around, except for that one. And then there's this space here which you notice I haven't fitted, which is where a lamp fits. I can't test the LEDs without the lamp in, but the lamp, I believe, is the other one. That's the other way around. I'm going to mark each one of these on here and take a picture so you can see which is the polarity. So I'm going to walk you through the polarity. This is going to connect to A1 pin 7. Positive that side, that side, that side, that side, that side, that side, that side. This one's the other way around. That side, that side. This one's the other way around. See, it's that side and then that side. So there's two the wrong way around. What on earth possessed anybody who was designing this PCB, all for the sake of just a little bit of tracking? It could have gone either way around. It wasn't a difficult one to make them different. I just don't know. It's just not logical, Captain. So that's the way that it wires. And I've tested every one and they all work. I'm now going to fit my filament bulb in place so that I can complete the job. I've checked every single joint with my magnifying loupe, and I've cleaned off all of flux with some isopropyl alcohol, and everything looks nice and clean. I've fitted the bulb, it's in there, and now we just got to put this back in the vehicle. When I came to check the fitting, I found that the holes in the membrane pad were not a big enough diameter to accommodate the plastic base of the LED. So this one particular one here was causing me some aggravation. So I took it out and stood it off on I cut some bits of PVC tube off some wires to make it, and made some standoffs for it, and just put it on there. You can just see the red underneath there. So that's what I did, just to check that worked. The rest of the pad you can tuck in with your fingers, and it seems to be okay. The little bits of plastic sticking out here don't seem to be a problem, but I might just snip them off anyway. I don't want to distort the case too much, but I think it would fit as it is. The AC module has been put back together. I'm just going to wire it in and then just put it in place and just see if it works. As you can see, all the controls work, all the buttons work, everything seems to function. On and off works, auto works, circulate works, fan up down works, AC works. So everything seems fine. I'm just going to click it back into place and then put the screws back in the dash. As you can see, the dash is all back together. The control module is back in there. The lights are lovely except for that one which was just a standard bulb. I kind of wish I'd have put one that was around this edge here, because I think there are a couple of bulbs there, but it's not too bad. I just need one more LED. I might just change it, I don't know. It's not a difficult job to do. The hard part is working out how to mount the LEDs, which way round they go, tracing the wiring through and proving that they all work. I mean, we've hit this 100% the right way around, despite me having put all the LEDs in the wrong way around. After that one was the one I busted, there was only 2 LEDs that were different out of the 11, because filament bulbs don't care, but the one that I checked was one of the ones that was the wrong way around. So I got most of them the wrong way around and 2 of them the right way around, and one of them was going to be the bulb anyway, so it was really weird. Anyway, that's in. I'm just going to take the car for a spin because the battery went flat and it started to snow here in the UK. I'm just going to go for a run. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. Oh, and don't forget the alert bell.